If you're over 40 and you're eating less sugar, but your face still looks tired in the morning, I do not think sugar is the whole story. Sugar matters. I'm not going to pretend it does not, but sugar is only one chemical pathway. Stress is different. Stress can change the state of the entire body before the first bite of food even arrives. That is why I think many people are fighting the wrong enemy. They remove dessert, but they keep living inside a cortisol signal. So in this video, I want to show you the mechanism, not the motivational version, the actual chain. The chain is simple. Stress turns on cortisol. Cortisol mobilizes fuel. Fuel needs movement, and if movement and recovery do not happen, aging pressure rises. Let us start with sugar, because this is the part everybody already blames. When glucose stays high too often, it can attach to proteins and fats through a process called glycation. Over time, those reactions can form advanced glycation end products, or AGEs. AGEs can make collagen less flexible, which matters because collagen is part of your skin, blood vessels, tendons, and connective tissue. This is the honest anti-sugar argument. Too much glucose exposure can make tissue stiffer. But notice what kind of damage that is. It is a pathway, important, but still one pathway. Cortisol is not one pathway. Cortisol is closer to a control signal. And this is where I think most health advice becomes too shallow. It tells you what not to eat, but it does not ask what state your body is in while you eat it. The same breakfast can land in two different bodies. One body slept well, walked, and feels safe. The other body slept badly, woke up to emails, clenched the jaw, and started the day already braced. Same food, different hormonal environment. That is not a small detail. Now let me put cortisol on the board, because cortisol has been turned into a cartoon villain. And that is wrong. Cortisol helps you wake up. It helps maintain blood pressure. It helps mobilize glucose. You cannot function without it. Every morning, cortisol normally rises in what researchers call the cortisol awakening response. In many studies, that morning rise is roughly 38 to 75% in the first 30 to 45 minutes after waking. That rise is not disease, it is the body turning the system on for the day. The problem begins when a morning hormone becomes an all-day background signal. The command chain is called the HPA axis: hypothalamus, pituitary, adrenal. The hypothalamus reads threat. The pituitary amplifies the message. The adrenal glands release cortisol. That system was designed for problems that end. Run, lift, fight, escape, solve, then recover. Modern stress often does not end. It sits in the inbox. It sits in the bank account. It sits in the conversation you keep replaying. Your body cannot tell the difference between an unfinished threat and an unfinished thought as cleanly as you wish it could. So cortisol does what cortisol is built to do. It prepares the body. It tells the liver make glucose available. It tells attention, narrow the focus. It tells the body be ready. In a real emergency, that is brilliant. In a chair, at a desk, with no movement, it becomes expensive. Researchers often use the term allostatic load for this. The cost of the body repeatedly adapting to stress. I like that term because it does not sound emotional. It sounds like engineering, and that is closer to what is happening. Every stress response borrows resources. Heart rate rises, glucose rises, attention narrows, muscles prepare. If the response ends, the body pays the bill and resets. If the response repeats all day, the bill rolls over. That rollover is what makes stress dangerous, not one hard day, the absence of a true ending. This is why I care less about whether you feel stressed, and more about whether your body is still acting stressed. The body gives clues: tight jaw, shallow breathing, cold hands, fast eating, constant checking, and sleep that never feels deep. This is the first reason stress can age you faster than sugar. It can raise glucose pressure even when no dessert was eaten. People think blood sugar only comes from food, but the liver can release glucose because the brain predicted demand. If that fuel is used by walking, lifting, climbing stairs, or training, the loop can close. If the fuel is not used, the body keeps receiving the message that energy was mobilized for nothing. Do that often enough, and meals start landing on top of a body that is already metabolically louder than it should be. That does not mean stress alone causes every glucose problem. It means stress can make the same food harder to handle. This is especially important after 40, because muscle mass and insulin sensitivity often begin drifting the wrong way. So when cortisol adds fuel and muscle is not ready to receive it, the bloodstream becomes the waiting room. That is one reason a walk after eating becomes more powerful with age, not less. This is why a 10-minute walk after a stressful meal is not a cute wellness trick. It is basic physiology. The second reason is sleep. Aging is not only damage, aging is damage minus repair. At night, cortisol should generally be lower than it is in the morning, while melatonin rises and body temperature drifts down. That shift tells the body, stop preparing, start repairing. But if the nervous system goes to bed still scanning, sleep can happen without deep recovery. This is why someone can sleep 7 hours and still wake up looking older than yesterday. Hours are not the whole story. The body experiences sleep by depth, timing, continuity, and safety. Deep sleep is when the body gets better conditions for tissue repair, immune cleanup, and growth hormone pulses. If cortisol is too loud at night, the brain can keep one hand on the alarm while the body is trying to repair. That is why late-night scrolling is not just a blue light problem. A message, a comment, a bill, or a news story can carry meaning, and meaning is what wakes the threat system. You can put the screen in night mode and still give the nervous system a reason to stay on guard. So for sleep, the target is not only darkness, the target is a believable ending to the day. The body was horizontal. The threat system was still online. That matters after 40 and 50, because repair becomes the whole game. Collagen turnover is slower, muscle is harder to rebuild, blood vessels lose elasticity more easily, recovery is less forgiving. So when stress steals sleep depth, it is not just making you tired, it is stealing repair time. The third reason is muscle. I think this is the part people over 50 should take seriously. Muscle is not decoration. Muscle is metabolic machinery. Muscle stores glucose, clears glucose from the blood, protects joints, and releases chemical signals when it contracts. When muscle mass goes down, sugar tolerance usually gets worse, even if the diet looks clean. Chronic stress works against muscle in 3 ways. It worsens sleep, which is when repair hormones and protein rebuilding have better conditions. It pushes people towards sitting, cravings, and skipped training because the brain wants fast relief. And when cortisol stays high too often, the body becomes less interested in building and more interested in surviving. This is why I do not like the phrase, "I'm just getting older," when someone is always tense, underslept, and undermuscled. Aging is real, but it is not honest to blame age for every signal created by a nervous system that never powers down. I would rather ask a sharper question. Is this age, or is this an unclosed stress cycle repeated for years? That question is useful because it gives you leverage. You cannot become 25 again, but you can change the signals your body receives every morning and every night. Maybe age is part of it, but the internal state is part of it too. The fourth reason is inflammation. Cortisol helps regulate inflammation in the short term, but chronic stress can make immune signaling less coordinated over time. The immune system is not just an army, it is also a cleanup crew. Every day, proteins misfold, cells get damaged, and small inflammatory fires need to be put out. Recovery requires the cleanup crew to know when to attack and when to stand down. Chronic stress can blur that timing. The system stays ready, but not precise. And imprecision is costly in aging, because repair depends on timing. That is the word I want on the board: coordination. Sugar is a chemical pressure. Stress is a coordination problem. Stress can touch glucose, sleep, appetite, blood pressure, inflammation, muscle repair, and decision-making at the same time. That is why I'm comfortable saying it may age the body faster than sugar in many people. Not because sugar is harmless, because stress can make every sugar mistake louder. Now look at the loop. Because loops are where people get trapped. Stress raises cortisol, cortisol raises fuel, poor sleep raises cravings, cravings raise glucose, glucose swings make the next day harder. Then the person blames discipline when the body is actually solving a stress problem with energy. This is why late-night cravings feel so convincing. The brain is tired, the body is under-recovered, and sugar is fast. The craving may be asking for glucose, but underneath it may be asking for safety, rest, or a completed day. If you only answer that signal with restriction, the body often pushes back harder tomorrow. If you answer it with recovery signals, the craving has less work to do. This is why just saying "eat less sugar" can fail. You removed the last domino. You did not remove the first one. So what do we do? I do not think the answer is just relax. The nervous system does not relax because you insulted it into calmness. It relaxes when it receives evidence that the threat is over. So the protocol is not a mood. It is a sequence of body signals. Step 1. Use the fuel. After a stressful day or a stressful meal, move your legs for 10 to 20 minutes. If you're over 50, I would start embarrassingly simple. 10 minutes after dinner, most nights. Do not chase exhaustion. Chase completion. The body prepared for action, so give it controlled action. Walk uphill, use stairs, do slow squats, ride a bike. Anything that makes large muscles receive glucose. Do not think of this as calorie burning. Think of it as closing the cortisol loop. Step 2. Stop leaving the day open. Before bed, write the 3 unresolved problems and 1 next action for each. This is not journaling for poetry, it is a threat capture device. An uncaptured problem keeps returning, because the brain is afraid you will forget it. The brain does not need every problem solved tonight. It needs proof the problem has been captured. Step 3. Lower light and lower meaning at the same time. Night mode is not enough if the screen is still feeding you conflict, urgency, comparison, and unfinished social information. One message can raise more alertness than a bright lamp. Step 4. Train the exhale. Longer exhale matters because exhaling slowly is one of the cleanest ways to send a body-level safety signal. 5 minutes of 4 seconds in and 6 seconds out is not magic. It is a mechanical safety signal. If that feels too big, make it smaller. 3 in, 5 out. The pattern matters more than the number. Step 5. Protect the first hour after waking. Cortisol is supposed to rise in the morning. Do not stack it immediately with phone alerts, arguments, news, and caffeine panic. Get light, move a little. Let the body orient before you throw it into traffic. Step 6. Build muscle like it is an anti-aging organ, because it is. Walking is good, but walking alone may not be enough to keep strength after 50. Strength requires a signal strong enough that the body has to adapt. 2 or 3 sessions a week of real resistance work can change how your body handles glucose in recovery. For people over 50, legs matter, especially. Strong legs are not vanity. They are metabolic insurance. Step 7. Use protein and fiber at the meals, where stress usually makes you grab sugar. I would put protein first, not because protein is fashionable, but because tissue repair needs material. Then add fiber, because fiber slows the glucose story and gives the gut something useful to work with. Protein gives tissue material. Fiber slows the glucose curve. Together they make the stress craving less powerful. This does not mean you never eat sugar. It means sugar stops being the rescue tool for an exhausted nervous system. Now I want to be clear, none of this replaces medical care, and cortisol is not something you diagnose from a YouTube video. If you have serious symptoms, medications, endocrine disease, or major sleep problems, work with a professional. But for many people, the useful question is simple. Where is my body getting the signal that danger has not ended? Check the jaw, check the breath, check the speed of eating, check the phone, check the evening loop. If 3 of those lights are on, do not call the day normal. Call it a stress physiology day. That gives you a decision. Do I need more restriction, or do I need a better shutdown signal? Those are not personality traits. They are physiological clues. If your body feels older than your age, do not only ask what sugar you ate, ask what signals your body had to live inside all day. Because the body does not age only from what you consume. It also ages from what it keeps preparing for. And if you can teach the body that the threat is over, you do not just feel calmer. You give sleep, muscle, glucose, collagen, and inflammation a better environment to do their jobs. That is the real anti-aging move. Not a war against sugar, but a body that finally knows when to stop racing.